people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
De la noche, Stephanie Piñeiro.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears that former WBO Super Bantamweight champion of Lefebvre, Sigolene Lefebvre, returned to action this past weekend, got herself back in the winner's bracket, opposite the ring Argentina's own Juliana Basualdo for what was a WBA Gold title at Super Bantamweight. That's a secondary version of Nazarena Romero's title. Nazarena Romero is full WBA champion at this weight. An accidental headbutt caused a cut on Basualdo, at which point the fight was stopped in the fifth, and Lefebvre got a 48, 47, 46, 49 technical split decision victory to win the title. This essentially lines up Sigolene for a fight with Nazarena, and the question is, who's going to get on a plane when the time comes? Because if this fight is ordered, Nazarena is going to have to deal with Sigolene. Slight edge to the champion, slight edge to Nazarena Romero.
Oh?
Sigolene Lefebvre sports professional record of 19 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 1 recorded knockout. Only 1 recorded knockout. She is not the puncher that Nazarena Romero is.
Nazarena Romero sports professional record of 14 wins with no losses, 2 draws, 8 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 16 professional bouts.
She doesn't have as many fights as Sigolene or as many rounds in the bank, but she's fought better fighters overall in her 16 fights than Sigolene has fought in her 20 or 21 fights. Remember, Nazarena's been in there with a reigning champion in Mayerlene Rivas, a reigning champion in Erica Cruz,
Seasoned veteran in Paulette Valenzuela.
I think the best fighter that Sigolene Lefebvre has fought so far is Ellie Scotney, but Ellie Scotney beat her. Both fighters are with well-to-do promotional outfits, small outfits. Nothing the size of a Top Rank or a Matchroom or a Golden Boy, not on that scale, but Sigolene's handlers, whoever they are, they seem to do a very good job of keeping her active, keeping her busy, and getting her opportunities in her native France. The same can be said for Nazarena Romero.
Yeah, Nazarena managed to fight 2 times this year.
And 2 times last year. She keeps a decent level of activity within a calendar year for a fighter that is not with a major promotional outfit. Same can be said for Sigolene Lefebvre. She fought 2 times this year, 2 times last year. She's keeping busy, keeping active. Decent level of competition, decent.
Not as good as Nazarena's, but still solid.
Former champion in Deborah Dionysius, a victory that's aging well in Tycee Gallagher of the United Kingdom.
It's a good win.
If you've seen Sigolene Lefebvre in action, you'll know that she's very tall for 122 pounds. She's got good height, good length for the weight, not necessarily big on power, but her boxing's all right. Whereas Nazarena, she's got a more straightforward approach. You know immediately when you see this fighter, she's a pressure fighter.
Shorter, stumpier fighter, very compact with very big quads.
That's where the power comes from. Power is generated from the ground up, so it's not a coincidence that Nazarena punches hard when she's standing on those meaty thighs.
Those 2 tree trunks.
Slight edge to the champion. We can see that Sigolene Lefebvre ain't big on power.
I don't think she punches hard enough to keep Nazarena off of her.
And I don't know that she boxes well enough to shake and bake her, to out-hustle Nazarena. It's a tall order. It's a tough assignment. Remember when Nazarena fought Erica Cruz? The only fighter I've really seen neutralize Nazarena's offense was with offense of her own.
Activity of her own. That ain't Sigolene.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that Erica Cruz tested positive for not one, but some banned substances immediately after the Nazarena Romero fight.
That's another story.
The point is that I don't think Sigolene has the ingredients to weather the storm from Nazarena. Whether it's in her native France or in Nazarena's native Argentina, wherever the fight goes down, I think I gotta give the edge to Nazarena.
Looking at it.
Just the first look at this fight because it is now a potentiality based on Sigolene winning a secondary WBA title. The only thing that's good for is using it as a segue to fight for the full title against the full champion.
That's Nazarena.
This is a fight that might get ordered at some point next year. In men's super lightweight news, the sights and sounds ahead of what is to be the Liam Paro versus Richardson Hitchins IBF title fight, as Richardson took to social media and stated, "Losing was never an option. I'm running that boy off that title, I promise." He seems a lot more confident, a lot more talkative now that Liam has the belt than when Subriel had it. When Subriel had it,
Is it my imagination, or was he a lot more careful with his words?
and a lot more conditional as to whether or not he would actually challenge Subriel for the IBF title. I mean, take a look at it. Take a look for yourself.
I think this is an IBF eliminator. Depending on how I feel, come April the 6th, I think that will line me up for a belt, and I think the IBF belt, Subriel Matias is the champion right now, so I think that's the fight we'll take if that get presented to us, which it should get presented to us. But like I said, I got to see how I feel with the rehydration clause. The last time I fought for the IBF, I didn't like the way I felt. That was versus Yomo Alamo, and after that, I told my team to never put me in a fight for the IBF belt, because I don't want to do the 10-pound rehydration clause. And every fight after that was either a little side belt, like a WBC belt, a little ranking belt, so I can avoid the IBF rehydration clause. But I think that this is a big opportunity for us, and we can't miss it. So, like I said, I told my team, give me a shot to fight for the IBF to see how my body feel, how I rehydrate.
But could we possibly see a toe-to-toe war?
We know he a one-trick pony. We know we know he gonna come with the left hand, the left uppercut. We know he gonna come with that. He a one-trick pony. We know if he want to get his ass whoop, he could. If he want to get his ass whoop, he could come and bring it on. If he want to make it a chess match, it don't matter. When it comes to this sport, period, he's not better than me. Maybe in basketball, he might be better than me, but in this sport, he's not better than me. And
So I don't think Richardson Hitchins kept the same energy for Subriel Matias that he now keeps for Liam Paro. He seems a lot more confident of the victory with Liam than he did with Subriel. With Subriel, there was a question as to whether or not he would even go through with it. Would he challenge him? I think it's because Richardson Hitchins knows his boxing. He understands styles and how they make fights.
For a pure boxer like Richardson Hitchins, a guy like Subriel, and all of his limitations, is still a very dangerous fight that stylistically does not favor the pure boxer. I think Richardson understands that.
Understood it, which is why he was non-committal to challenging Subriel for the belt, but now he's challenging Liam for it. He doesn't look at Liam as being the same challenge, even though he beat Subriel.
With Subriel, he had to see how he felt, the weight cut, the rehydration cap, the calipers.
The brake line, the oil needs to be changed, the gutters need to get cleaned, all kind of stuff when Subriel had the belt. Now that Liam's got it, well, you see him.
He's piping up.
Liam Paro, 28 years old, the Richardson Hitchins, who's 27. Liam Paro, a southpaw, whereas Richardson is an orthodox fighter. I don't really trust the tale of the tape by way of BoxRec. I trust my own two eyes more than I trust them. And Liam is the shorter, stumpier fighter of the two, the stronger puncher as well, whereas Richardson is more mobile, more agile, long and limber, sporting an unblemished record of 18 wins with no losses, no draws, 7 knockouts, to Liam Paro, who bears a striking resemblance to Edward Furlong of Terminator 2 fame, more masculine version of him, sporting a professional record, an unblemished record, of 25 wins with no losses, no draws, 15 knockouts.
Both of them need to get some sleep. Put those bags in their eyes.
They're angry. There are two ways to look at Richardson Hitchins' change in demeanor, change in energy, in facing Subriel, and now facing Liam Paro, that he seemed non-committal for one, but he's committed to the other.
Why?
I mean, should we look down on him? Should we trash him? Should we bash him? That he wasn't piping up when Subriel had the belt, but now he is.
Seems to me that he didn't want no parts of Subriel. He understands styles, and that's why. Against a pressure guy like Subriel, as simple and as limited as he might be, guys like that are a nightmare for pure boxers.
Pure boxer's gonna stick and move and land his 1 or 2 jabs that ain't got no power on them, and round after round, the pressure's gonna build. It's gonna be harder to keep the guy off because he won't stop coming after you. And sooner or later, he's all over you like a cheap suit.
Pressure guy.
And that's why Richardson Hitchins feels a lot more ballsy with Liam than he did with Subriel. It's one way to look at it, but another way to look at it is Liam did beat Subriel, and now Richardson Hitchins is fighting him.
Process of elimination.
I mean, Liam beat him. Liam took him out. He took his title, and now Richardson Hitchins is fighting him. So is that not credible? Is that not noteworthy?
Some will say he knows exactly what he's doing.
The crux of it is, if he can beat Liam Paro, the man that beat Subriel Matias, and become IBF champion in the process, whether you like it or not, and whether I like it or not, it would still be a credible win for Richardson Hitchins. The question is
he gonna do it?
I feel like Liam Paro has an added incentive to win this fight. A reason.
Tim Tszyu just got his ass kicked.
And Tim Tszyu was one of the most noteworthy sportsmen in the entire Australian boxing scene, getting far more press than Liam Paro does in the region. So now that Tim Tszyu fell,
Stars collapsed.
there is a black hole where that star used to be, a void that is left to fill. Can Liam Paro fill it with a victory?
Really good win over Jock Barbas, then unbeaten.
Another good win over Montana Love, all on the road, and an even bigger win over Subriel Matias, fighting the Puerto Rican champion in the island of Puerto Rico. I mean, gosh.
Wow.
It's big boy stuff. Decided to fight. The location is curious. They decided to do this thing in Puerto Rico. They're taking Liam back to Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico!
Still think they should have got Liam Paro a homecoming fight. I think he's earned a homecoming fight. To beat Richardson Hitchins, he's got to mimic the man that he just beat in Subriel Matias. It's all about pressure, pressure, pressure. Combinations, punches in bunches, punches in waves.
That's what he's got to do.
Don't let this turn into a boxing match, because if it does, that favors Richardson Hitchins.
Talk more about it as the fight date approaches.
And finally, as it pertains to the future of Top Rank on the ESPN platform in the coming year, Bob Arum was asked about Top Rank's TV partners following the expiration of their deal next year.
What we're trying to do is what other major sports have been doing, whether it's the NFL or the NBA, is to do packages so you get more than one television entity involved. That's what we're doing. We'll be announcing soon the concluding deals with various entities, which I think will lead to increased coverage of boxing, at least from Top Rank's perspective in the United States.
The pros. Bob Arum hit the nail on the head. Bob Arum is right. The more platforms that have boxing, the more coverage the sport gets, the more awareness it raises of the sport to the American populace.
It doesn't sound like this ever enticed the ESPN so much as expanding upon how many people they are working with, but who will they work with in the future?
We saw that Peacock bought the U.S. rights to boxer shows, which seemed odd to me because it's the only kind of boxing programming they have on their platform. If it were in addition to something, that would round it out, in addition to, say, Top Rank shows. The same can be said about Netflix to a lesser extent. They're doing the big Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight next month, so they have some interest in hosting boxing matches or combat sports.
When you think about what they're paying out for that one, what they're paying Katie Taylor, what they're paying Amanda Serrano, what they're paying Jake, what they're paying Mike.
A fortune. Everything Bob is saying is in keeping with what Todd Duboff said on the 3 knockdown rule with Stephen Kimothy and Mariario Lopez.
They want more than one broadcast partner moving forward.
So that's added exposure for boxing in the American market, as well as additional budgets for Top Rank, that now you're not just getting a budget from ESPN, you might be getting one from some other broadcaster. So that's good for them, but what's bad for us is it further fragments the sport. That's basically saying that you might have to have more than one streaming app to watch Top Rank shows. One show might go down on ESPN and another might be on Peacock or Netflix or Amazon.
So if you don't have those other streaming apps, what then?
That's where the downside is. That's the con.
You might have to subscribe to yet another streaming platform to see all of Top Rank's shows in a calendar year.
Which is not exactly a good thing because you have to use DAZN for your Matchroom and Golden Boy shows, ESPN for Top Rank, Amazon Prime for PBC,
Peacock for Boxer.
what could result in more money coming out of your pocket. Bob Arum was asked about the Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol rematch, and he said that they may take interim fights before their sequel.
Because Riyadh season ends in February, the earliest date for a rematch would have to be next October.
Can't they do a show outside Riyadh season like they did this year?
That is not what they're gonna do in the future. I think there was a lot of pushback on His Excellency for doing fights outside of Saudi and outside of Riyadh season. So it may mean that each of these guys fight one more time against other opponents, and then in October of next year, they do the rematch. I think, from a business standpoint, that is the likeliest thing that will happen.
And thus, Artur Beterbiev may be facing his mandatory challenger. After all, that Michael Eifert fight might happen. The saving grace is that Michael Eifert is no threat to Artur Beterbiev, and we've talked about that. He's a light-punching outside fighter, stick and mover.
Artur's seen that style before. He saw that in Marcus Brown, and you see what he did to him?
With a fighter Artur's age, there's always the danger that they'll suddenly get old overnight. Any fighter in his late 30s, pushing 40, that could happen. But based on the performance that he just put on with Dmitry, he didn't look 39 years old, I'll tell you that much. So I don't like Michael Eifert's chances. As far as Dmitry, and who does Dmitry fight? What does Dmitry do?
He won't get Anthony Yard, and he won't get Joshua Buatsi, because those two guys are likely fighting each other next.
So who can he fight? I have a recommendation. Why don't Dmitry Bivol fight the winner of Benavidez versus Morel? I say the winner of Benavidez versus Morel because the Eifert fight has already been ordered.
David Benavidez is his mandatory challenger via the WBC, David Morel via the WBA, but they're fighting each other.
Let the winner of that fight Dmitry Bivol over the summer months. It's still a big fight. It's still for good money.
Let those two guys settle up with each other in January towards the end of it. Let Artur Beterbiev take care of Michael Eifert in either February or March.
And let Dmitry Bivol face the winner of Benavidez versus Morel in, say, May, June, July, sometime around there, en route to the Beterbiev rematch. Now, the dangers of pushing the fight that far out.
What doesn't favor Artur to wait that long?
He's the older guy. Time is not on his side. Immediately after the fight, Turkey said that he wants to make that fight. He wants to make the rematch between them with a sense of urgency, that he would want that to happen sooner than later. But based on what Bob's saying, a lot can happen in a calendar year. And if the rematch between them doesn't happen until the very end of the next one, what condition is Artur going to be in then?
This is not good news.
I wanted to see that rematch sooner rather than later. It's the most sensible fight and the most sensical fight for both combatants. I want to skip the foreplay and just get it over with.
But I guess they're working within certain parameters now, and that's just the situation.